picking right back up where we left off. So I was getting ready to attach the buck converter here to the 5-volt charge controller for the lithium battery. So on the bottom here, you see we've got in and we've got out. Now I've already programmed this for the voltage that I want out with the simple expedient of hooking it up to my power supply, putting 5 volts into it, and then adjusting this little potentiometer here with a non-conductive screwdriver until I had about 3.2 volts out of here. I set it to 3.2 volts because I imagine there's going to be a bit of a sag in the voltage once all of the circuitry kicks in. And if it gets too bad, I've also optionally got a capacitor to use as a tank on that end. But once I've got everything set up and soldered in and all in place, I will test the voltage to make sure that it doesn't droop too far and adjust as necessary. So what I want to do next is I'm actually going to solder the out wires from the voltage supply wires from the buck converter here onto the voltage input of the device. So to start with that, I'm going to use the wires that are already in there that were used for the battery compartment. So I'm going to start by desoldering. Come on, heat up please. Thank you. I'm going to start by desoldering the wires that I used when I was programming it. Like so. Come off, there we go. And then I'm just going to confirm by looking on the bottom here. Yeah, the red wire is the positive. So the white wire is the negative. That's going to determine where I position the buck regulator. So the negative is going to be this side. I'm just going to sort of dirty tack it on there. And then, just because I don't want a lot of wires floating around inside the case here, just in case they get in the way of moving parts or getting in the way of the light show, I'm going to trim this wire down to be more compatible in length. So it doesn't have to be super exact, but somewhere around here. I'll just go ahead and nip that short. And we'll carefully strip, because these are very thin wires. Carefully strip that wire. And find the end of the solder. Oh, apparently I have just a free length of solder floating about. That's alright. Most people chastise me for soldering directly off the reel, but I find it more convenient myself. But to each their own. Do whatever works for you. There we go. Just put a little extra solder on there. I'm gonna shorten this. You may be hearing the rain and thunder in the background here. Been having some extremely unusual weather for Quesnel, in that we've had thunderstorms now, not continuously, we've had sun, but we haven't had a day without a thunderstorm. I think we're on our 11th day now. Very unusual. We might get 1 or 2 thunderstorms in the entire year, and in the past week we've gotten more thunderstorms than we have in the past 3. So that's kind of an interesting thing that's going on here. Not that I'm complaining, I love thunderstorms, but it's just another example of how our planet is dying, I think. I'm just cutting myself a piece of Gorilla Tape off camera here, but I realized I haven't fully prepared the board, so let's just carefully... This stuff is ferociously sticky. There we go. I need to disconnect the other 2 wires. Actually, no, I don't think that'll be necessary, because the Gorilla Tape is squishy enough that I should just be able to adhere this to the bottom of it, like so. Yeah, that'll be fine. And then I need to peel the backing off. This is going to be the challenging part, because it's not actually really properly stuck to anything. Come on. I'm sure you guys are really enjoying watching this part. Let's all watch Chris fight with some tape. It's worth the effort, though. This stuff is nigh indestructible. There we go. Come on. Ow! There we go. Just stabbed myself on something, if you're wondering what the ow was for. Alright, there we go. So that's now very thoroughly glued into place, because this Gorilla Glue, once you've set it down on something, it's not going to go anywhere. And actually, because I'm just being picky, I'm going to shorten this wire too, to something a little bit more practical. So I'm just going to bring it down to about here. That looks good. Alright. This thin wire is very difficult to work with, but I'm making do. It's been a while since I've done one of these, you know, just start to finish kind of, oh bugger. I just forgot which one of those pads was positive. I should have marked that. Oh, I know which one it is. Yep. Good, we're fine. Because I've got one with the fresh solder and then I've got one without fresh solder. So, everything is fine. Just trim a little bit of that off so that it doesn't do anything weird. And I'm having trouble with the wire here, so I'm going to make use of some tweezers to get it into place where I want it. There we go. Alright, now time to repeat the process with the positive wire, which is still a little bit long, so I'm going to trim it just a little bit more to about here. There we go. Probably being a little overcautious, but I don't want anything getting pinched or damaged or anything like that. Not that it would be difficult to repair. It's better to over-engineer it in the first build than to have to take it apart and rebuild it later. Alright, now where's my tweezers go? This is the other pair. I don't want those. Anybody see what I did with my tweezers? There they are. Alright, so there's the supply voltage. Now I just need to mate the supply voltage with the battery control board here, with its output wires. We want it to be about here, so we're going to want to trim these wires down quite a bit. I want a little slack, but not too much. So this is where this is going to be sitting. That's where they need to go, so I'm just going to nip them about here. Gives me a little bit of slack, but not too much. Clunk. There we go. I'll stick those in my drawer to use later. I always try to save wire scraps. Be surprised how many times you can be like, oh, hey, that piece of wire that I saved 6 months ago is the perfect length for what I need. Alright. These are pre-tinned, so I don't really need to do anything fancy with them. Just solder them into place. So this is positioned like that, so the positive, yeah, so we'll do the negative first, so when we flip it over, it will straighten out. Alright, a whole chunk of solder. We'll pre-tin these wires, or these pads rather. There we go. And then we'll bring it up to here, and let's see, if I do it this way, yeah, this is the way I want to do it. This is going to be a bit difficult, so I'll go ahead and grab my forceps here and rotate this around. Let's grab this with my tweezers so that I can point it where I want it to go. There we go. And repeat the process with the black wire. Be careful not to poke my oscilloscope with my soldering iron. That would be very upsetting. Alright. Okay. I'm just going to touch these up a little bit. Oops, I knew I was going to do that. The solder joints were just a little bit peaky, so I'm going to try to clean them up a little bit here. There we go. That's a little better. Okay, now I need to secure the charge controller board into place. So we're just going to flip it over and Gorilla Tape it into place. Bear with me while I fight with another piece of Gorilla Tape. We'll use this utility knife, maybe it'll cut it better. Yeah, much better. Okay, now flip this over, push this into place. And now you guys get to watch me fight with the backing again. There we go. Just gotta get the right angle in there. Come on. No tape is good when it gives you trouble coming off of its own backing, right? There we go. Alright, and then we'll spread these wires out a little bit so that you can still see the charge control LEDs. And we'll, under here, we'll position them so that they're visible in that little hole that I made. And then push this into place. And being as the tape is very soft but extremely sticky, it will sort of spread out and fill the gaps, and then might actually act as a strain relief for the wires. So we're just going to pull this back through, pull the knot. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to need to use some hot glue or something to secure this further, but that's fine for strain relief for now. Now, the final step is going to be soldering the battery terminals on. And of course they're not marked on this side of the board, but usefully enough, I have an identical battery charge board right over here. I'm going to leave these leads pretty long. Yikes, that was getting really toasty. I'm going to leave these leads fairly long because in case of needing to do any repairs or anything like that, I want to make sure that I've got plenty of slack. But that is going to make it challenging for reassembling the thing. Anyway, so the positive lead is going to be, interestingly, the closest one to the input positive as well. So, because I screwed up earlier when I was doing the attachment of the battery, we're going to take the black wire. You know, when you do this project, if you do this project, because I don't even know if you'll be able to find one of these, but this project could of course be extended to any sort of this kind of lamp. There we go. And I don't normally tin this wire because it's pre-tinned, but in this case I'm just being a little extra cautious. So we'll throw some solder into these pads. There we go. And once again, remembering that black is positive in this case. This is... I wonder if there's a better way I can position things. Actually, you know what? I've only got 3 minutes left on the timer, so I'm going to go ahead and pause it here and rearrange things a little bit so I can more easily finish it, and then hopefully it'll be working and I can actually demonstrate it in the last part. So, don't start cleaning up right now. Chris, do your outro and then clean up. If you haven't already, consider clicking here to subscribe. Right over here is a video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. Right here is the playlist for building this thing. And right here is a link to Patreon that you can use to help support further projects. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time.